This is an area that has a lot of issues with water quality. We should have some of the healthiest, cleanest water anywhere, but the unfortunate truth is that in a lot of parts of the area, we have some of the worst water you can find in the state of Kentucky.
I went to visit an individual at his home, and we looked at his water quality report, and he had high levels of iron, high levels of arsenic in his water, and they told him not to use the water for drinking, eating, bathing, and basically anything that could touch his skin. And so, you know, it's kind of like a cease and desist: do not use this water. And there had been surface mining activities on several of the areas surrounding his home that affected the headwaters that feed his well, and so I believe that's a pretty solid direct link.
In the last 10 years or so, well that had been providing clean water for decades started to have that sulfury smell and started to stain clothes. Like most people, it's kind of impossible to prove exactly what happened to the well for us, but we know that during that time there was a fair amount of gas drilling, and then there was also quite a bit of deep mining and surface mining in the surrounding, really on all sides of us. But during all that time, the well did go bad, and that's just a common experience for a lot of people, and it's sort of untelling whether it will ever be clean again. And that's tough because our place is pretty remote. It's quite a ways from the nearest place to buy bottled water.
There's a lot of parts of the county that either don't have water or they've got bad water as far as contaminated with iron or sulfur or minerals, or even polluted with there's some places that the water table may have been broke from fracking a gas well or through mining. I'm not updated on what the situation is now, but for a while there was actually a no contact advisory for the North Fork of the Kentucky River, which meant not only couldn't you eat the fish, you weren't even allowed to let the river touch you because it had a lot of bacteria and pollution in it.
So there's a lot of stuff going on with fecal coliform, or human waste getting into the water. What happens a lot of times is you have improperly handled sewer systems or septic tanks, and so that kind of bleeds over to the water. And we do have the problem of people throwing waste into the water and garbage into the water. Our county has gotten better with solid waste in the last 10 or 12 years. But part of the problem with sewage, and you know, people say, oh, you got straight pipes and all that kind of stuff. And that's true. There are examples of straight pipes still in our county. If the water wasn't so heavily contaminated, we wouldn't have to treat it with so much chemicals.
You can find whatever kind of chemicals you see, that from what people use to clean their bathrooms and gets washed down the drain, to oil from the roads and gas spills. If something has a way of getting into the water system, it will.
Anytime that you disturb that soil, whether it's mining, logging, building a road, digging a ditch, any kind of disturbance of the dirt, you expose that sulfide to oxygen.
When you try to really think of what do people have in common, you know, we don't share, you know, a lot of times we're not related. We don't really share the same eating habits. You know, people are individuals, but what we have in common is our environment. There's our water, and there's the air we breathe. And what you're seeing is a lot of the chemicals and heavy metals in the water are directly linked to the health issues that we face.
This is the road coming off of 119 and going up the Elo Way. It goes on up into Franks Creek community, and it ends up this way. This is the road that starts at the post office at Eola and goes into Bowman Creek, and it ends about here, and it's 1 mile from here to here. This is a small creek coming down through this way. And when I was a kid, I was born here at this house. Starting with this house right here at the mouth of the creek, there would have been 2 people died with cancer and 1 with MS. The next house here, 1 died with cancer. This house here, 3 died with cancer. This one here, 1 died with cancer. This house here, 1 died with cancer and 1 is still living that has cancer. This house here, there was 1 kid born here that had polio. The house that I was born in, there'd been 6 people that lived in it died with cancer. 3 months ago, I found out that I had cancer. At this house next door, 2 people died with cancer, 1 still living that has cancer, and 1 had polio. This house here, 1 died with cancer. The house here, 1 died with cancer. This one, 1 died with cancer. This house, 2 died with cancer. This house, 1 died with cancer. This one over here, 1 died with cancer. At these 15 houses, there've been 22 people died with cancer in this community.
You know, exposure to UV radiation causes skin cancer, which it does, but it's over a long, prolonged period of time. The same sort of thing is true with this. If you're exposed to these kind of chemicals for a repeated period of time, then you're at higher risk to expose yourself to disease and cancer and that kind of stuff.
I do think in the long term, we are going to be working together on water quality, and we're going to be able to put long-term plans in place in our communities in Central Appalachia that will help keep the water safe and protect it as a resource. I think the danger of not doing that, though, is that it will get harder and harder for people to live here. Imagining 100 years from now, if our communities just don't have safe drinking water, then there won't be many people left. It will be harder and harder for people to justify opening a business here and raising their kids. And Appalachia would potentially be a place that has a reputation of short lifespans and little economic development and no reason to move there and little reason to stay, especially if you have a family.
When I was growing up, people would say, if you don't change your ways, then your children are going to pay for it. Well, I got news for you. Y'all are going to pay for it because some issues are going to come to head within the next 40 years.
We're forced to use this water, but do we really know what's in it? I think that's part of what we're here to do, is to spread that awareness and to help people understand of, like, let's figure out what's in our water, whether it's good or bad. It's important to maintain an awareness of your environment, because if you don't know, you might find out when it's too late.